Beautiful thing, right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day. I'm alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to white lights.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
Crazy evil.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I'm your host Jose Galison. I'm joined today by Mel. I had her on last week. Glad to have her on again. She's always, hell, even between the times as I've had you on, I've already covered at least one of your threads. I think I covered the smear, the Tracy's, or what I mean smear, I guess, whatever the hell that was, just being an extremely rude person. And we'll be talking more about him today and other such connected things. But we were just talking before we started, like literally as I had all my little stories set up, I just went back over to Twitter and just like, God dang it, another story.
Oh, no.
I mean, I would kind of almost rather have less stories because these stories are all pretty bleak, so for the most part. But I don't know. I guess you got to be aware of the dark to see the light. So I don't know. I don't know. There's got to be something there. I mean, we're doing something positive here, I guess. Except we're just waiting in dark territory. But Mel, the Village Crazy Lady on Twitter, pleasure to have you back.
Yes, thank you for having me. I know there was a lot that went on. There was the Michael Tracy hit piece on Daryl Cooper, which was just so dumb. And if you follow me, you know I'm not a fan of Michael Tracy. he hates me as well, so it works out good. And he just decided to go after Daryl Cooper, kind of on his list. He for whatever reason he's taken up this crusade on the Epstein case. He has decided that he wants to frame this as just another moral panic in the world, in the history of I guess moral panics,
like satanic panic, kind of like that.
Right. Yeah, like it's
which I don't know what your position's on that, but I tend to think
there much, but I have looked into it, and some of it was like, okay, well, there's some
stuff here.
Right, yeah, like there was some legitimacy to some of this stuff, maybe some of it, and of course, and I think also is when like shady stuff starts to happen, people just assume the worst, right? And so when you have a billionaire living in Florida in the 2000s, and he's paying 14-year-old girls to come over and pinch his nipples while he masturbates.
A man who lived in the Iranian embassy from 1992 to 1996 in New York. The Iranian embassy in New York. For those who aren't aware. So to get a glimpse into the connections he has.
Yeah. And then, he's just given, billions and billions of dollars for quote unquote investments. He's able to buy, I believe, what is the largest private property in all of New York City.
It's like the largest residence is how it's usually seated, right, I think. Yeah. It's a residential area or something.
What he did for any of the money that he received, if you believe some of the online influencers, some of the Zionist influencers, I think it was like Aaron Wexler. She tried to say this is just what rich people do. They just give their friends all this money. I'm like, no, they don't. That's actually not a thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you forget about the dark, the dirty stuff going on behind the scenes, I guess that is kind of what's going on.
So. Yeah, I mean, I guess they give their friends, millions and millions of dollars if they procure young girls for them. But there's usually a second part to that. But she was just trying to say that, no, it's just totally, you just wouldn't understand because you're not rich. But if you are rich, then you know that they just do this with their friends. And I'm like, No, they don't actually. I've actually been around a couple. I've been around a billionaire and a couple, really, really rich, hundreds of millions of dollars, millionaires, and they are actually kind of cheap, to be quite honest with you. And they certainly don't hand their money out like that.
Probably a matter of how you made your money, really. I guess
Right,
maybe your zip code might really play into this big time, if I had to guess. To what degree your proximity is to Washington, D.C.
And they certainly don't sign over power of attorney over their wealth to just randos, or even to their friends, which is of course what Les Wexler did. And so I always get those two, the Aaron Wex.
Yeah.
So one of them's Wexner.
There's like a bunch of Jews with some variations of that name, and it throws me off too. For some reason, I've heard the name Lex Wexner, but I always slip. Even now, I'm like slipping my words, like Lex Wexner, Wex Lexner. Like I'm gonna say it wrong a million different times, but whatever. You guys know what I mean. The Victoria's Secret guy, the creepy guy who signed over everything to Epstein for reasons.
Right. And so, when you've got someone who, Epstein, in this 2007, 2008 investigation by the FBI, they identify 32 victims. There's 60 counts, and these are all underage girls, so 14 to 17 years old. That's illegal. It's always been illegal for, at least as far as I know, going back. I don't actually know when statutory rape laws started, but for at least 70, 80 years, it has been illegal for 50-something-year-old men to have sex with 14-year-old girls in this country. And when you've got 32 victims and they know that there's more, and then this guy gets essentially a free pass from the federal government, and then he just has to go, sleep in the jail for 6 nights a week at the county jail, right? And then he gets to leave during the day to go work and whatnot. People get suspicious, they get wound up, they start, assuming more, and for good reason, right? Because no normal person would be allowed would have been able to walk away with what he was able to walk away with, And so of course now I'm sure that there is some stuff that has taken on some kind of like legend and whatnot. I don't know how much of all of the Epstein stuff is. I do expect that there are some dramatics, but again,
I think the clip not to step over you, but I think the clip you shared of him and Thaddeus Russell, or that was found, I believe maybe by somebody else, and I think you shared it as well. But I felt like that was pretty revelatory, because I actually think Thad has a little bit of a point in kind of what he's getting at there. It seems, obviously I don't know, there's context I'm missing here of some past between the two of them, but it seems he's making the point that you do shut off. People are apt to shut off their critical faculties for certain topics, myself included. I've done it multiple times. If anything, what is anger other than shutting off your critical faculties? And it's like, I mean, that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. I mean, there's a time for action. There's a time for, well, I don't really need to think about this much longer. Fuck you. It's pretty simple. But there is something to the point. You do have to, have caution with that. I mean, that's kind of what the Jordan Peterson quote before he lost his mind, kind of the idea of like, doesn't mean anything if you aren't dangerous, to be a man or whatever. It's kind of that idea. But at the same time, I think we're kind of well past that. And so there is points, though. So it could be one thing if he was... I think there probably is room for maybe some of these different... Because it's getting more assorted claims with some of the stuff to where maybe to hone in on this or that. Like you said, legends are made, and from there, leaps can be made off of. But... I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's looking for things where they aren't there, and like, because like for example, he was trying to press Thaddeus to kind of almost condemn all of his work in that one clip or whatever. And
Real quick, for those who don't know, in the clip that we're talking about, so Michael Tracy, he honed in on this interview that Daryl Cooper did with Tucker Carlson. It's a 3-hour interview. I watched it. It was good, I thought. And there was a part in the interview in which Daryl Cooper said. He was talking about this February 2019 case in which the Crime Victims Reporting Act, which is where the government has to kind of coordinate with the crime victims, tell them, basically keep them up to date on what's happening in the case, and tell them before they make any deals with the defendants, with the criminals and whatnot, right? They have to tell them like, hey, we're going to cut this deal with this person. And that way that the victims have a say, right? Because it used to be that they were just kind of cutting them out, not letting them have any kind of participation in the trials, And so what happened was the government literally conspired with the Epstein attorneys, right? Epstein's attorneys come in, and there was an initial woman on the case. Her name was Anne Marie Villafana, and she's the one who the FBI came to. She was the assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of Florida office when Alex Acosta was, in fact, the U.S. attorney. And so she was the assistant U.S. attorney, and she was the one who kind of took over the case. She had it for like a year. She drew up a 60-count indictment of Epstein after they found all of these victims and whatnot. Epstein's lawyers come in and they don't want to deal with her because she's not going to play ball. She has a case. Like, she knows she has a case. She knows, like, hey, we're going to put this guy away for years, possibly the rest of his life. And so they appeal to, first person they appeal to is the head of criminal or the head of crimes in the U.S. Attorney's Office, who just so happens to be the former lover of one of Epstein's attorneys. So Lily Sanchez was one of Epstein's attorneys, and then this guy, his name is like Matt Menkel, is the guy working at the U.S. Attorney's Office. They never disclose this to the public. They never disclose. Menkel never tells his coworkers, hey, yeah, I used to sleep with this woman. We were lovers for like a year and a half, a couple years ago. They kind of start talking with Menkel, and then they want to take it all the way up to Alex Acosta. And it was when they decided to have a meeting with Alex Acosta, which Anne-Marie Villafana vehemently opposed. That's when Acosta comes out with this, okay, we're going to cut a deal where we give you a we agree to not prosecute you for any of these crimes if you just plead guilty to these two charges I'm so sorry, my dog, to these two charges that are in state court. And of course, it's interesting because they take the deal, but then they keep appealing. And I have a theory on that, which Michael and I have gotten into many a times. But so what happens? While they're still buffing out the details on this non-prosecution agreement, the defense attorneys are working with the prosecutors to not inform the victims that they're going to cut this deal. And we
that's a pretty good. This is a pretty good one. The Jeff Anderson attorney side piece privilege. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what it was too. So they're working in coordination with the defense team is working in coordination with the prosecutors to keep the victims out of the loop the whole time. And that is what this prosecutor or this judge found in the case, right? And so what happened was Daryl Cooper paraphrased the judge, but unfortunately on Tucker, he said he was quoting him.
Yeah, well, it was like if I recall correctly, it was some clunky way he phrased it. Like, you could almost interpret it as if he meant a literal quote, or he meant like it just kind of this. Yeah. This is the summation of what they said, because obviously the root of it here is he said that he made it seem as if he was portraying it as a quote. You could have portrayed it that way, when in reality, what he was saying was the content of it, as opposed to the specific quote. So, like he said, they conspired, where that's not the exact wording they use. But so then he kind of played off this sentimentality that people have about the stupidity when it comes to the word conspiracy or conspire, as if it's a separate, unseemly thing, or at all times, where it's just like all it means is people in private, making plans.
Right. Yeah. He says, so in his article, Tracy said, and eventually, so he's quoting Cooper and says, and eventually a federal judge found, Cooper says, making a point to underscore for emphasis, these are the words of the federal judge, that the government had engaged in a conspiracy with Jeffrey Epstein to make this deal, this illegitimate, illegal deal.
Wait, so he's quoting Daryl right there.
Right. So
he said, these are the words. Oh, Yeah, but that's just like a top tier pedantry. That's all it is. It's
exactly.
It's
exactly what it was. And so I said, in my thread, I said, okay, well, let's look and see exactly what the judge said. And this is exactly what the judge said. The judge said the office, referring to the U.S. Attorney's Office, did not consult or confer with any of the victims about the NPA, the non-prosecution agreement, before it was signed. Epstein's counsel was aware that the office was deliberately keeping the NPA secret from the victims and indeed had sought assurances to that effect. After the NPA was signed, Epstein's counsel and the office began negotiations about whether the victims would be told about the NPA. It was a deviation from the government's standard practice to negotiate with defense counsel about the extent of crime victim notifications.
i.e. conspiracy.
They conspired. I mean, it was just so pedantic, and it really irked me. And so in that clip that you were referencing where Michael Tracy is talking to Thaddeus Russell, he says, we really need to kind of look at the rest of Daryl's work, because he just fabricated this quote from this judge. And it's like, hold up. No. This is weird what you're doing right now, because number one, you absolutely know what that ruling said. I know you know exactly what that ruling said. Okay. So now why are you trying to bring in the rest of his work here? Right. He keeps saying that Daryl Cooper was one of the eminent Epstein investigators, which is weird because I actually have never thought of Cooper when I think of Epstein.
Yeah,
ever. I always think of Whitney Webb.
Yeah, Whitney Webb. Yeah. Yeah,
Ryan Dawson, Whitney Webb. There's a couple others.
Yeah, who else? Yeah, there's a couple other people. I mean, but yeah, those are the main people. Yeah, you don't think of. But yeah, Daryl Cooper doesn't come to mind. I'd be like, he did an okay job. Like, he even admitted that I kind of filled in. But I think it's he's trying to. But I don't know. I mean, obviously, I have my what I think could be the case here, but I don't know. This does seem to be he hones in on people who are not just only honing on Epstein, but other things as well. But right. I mean, let's be real. It's like these are kind of part and parcel anyway. So it's like, how do you really separate these two? So I mean, what we just had the recent leaks of the emails with Ehud and fucking Epstein, and then everyone likes to forget about and Peter Thiel. So which we'll get into some of that. We'll actually start off. We're already in the right. We'll start off to kind of break the ice here. We'll start off with a little video. This time it's a little less fun than I usually do. This is we're gonna be watching some dysgenic fucking hem and haw for pedophiles. So let's watch this.
Michael, what happened?
By the way, feel free to stop me at any point if you want to make a point. So.
To attend this press conference.
Can you turn it up a little bit?
Okay, yeah, that's actually as high as I can get. It's actually pretty goddamn quiet.
Staff. So I was an invited member of the press. I was duly admitted.
This is as loud as it gets.
And
Can you hear it?
my turn to ask a pertinent question. I posed the question to Bradley Edwards, who is a lawyer, who was one of the longtime legal antagonists of Jeffrey Epstein and represented many of Epstein's purported victims, including Virginia Roberts Gouffre, who was declared to have been deceased in April of this year. And throughout this press conference, Virginia Roberts Gouffre was being spoken of as though she were this truth-telling martyr, as though she had an unblemished record of credibility. She was the one who actually spawned, in large part, the initial theory that Epstein orchestrated a massive pedophile ring and enforced it through a blackmail operation which ensnared prominent people. Edwards is actually one of the two lawyers who filed the motion on Gouffre's behalf in 2014 that first introduced.
All right, I feel like maybe now. And did you were able to hear that right? It is weirdly quiet. I don't know why that's as loud as it gets. You were able to pick that up at least enough. I mean, let me know in the audience if that was awful. I mean, we can just. I mean, I don't know if you caught his. I haven't had time. That's what the show kind of is, taking the time to dig into some of these things, dig into what angles he took, because I knew he got thrown out of the press conference.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what his current attack. Obviously, Gouffre. So Fire Pixie's saying they can't hear it. So maybe we'll just give commentary if you know enough, because the audio is awful.
Did he actually at some point say exactly what his question for Bradley Edwards was? Who, by the way, he routinely attacks Bradley Edwards, attacks his credibility, attacks, he smears him as a FBI informant, conspirator. He's a real asshole. I mean, he's always an asshole to everybody, but he's really started kind of to have this he's got a chip on his shoulder about Bradley Edwards for reasons I haven't quite figured out. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Edwards was like, get out of here, because he's constantly smearing him, taking his words out of context, trying to portray Edwards as something that he's not. So yeah, when you engage in this kind of like smut journalism, don't be surprised when people don't treat you with respect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, his angle of attack seems to be Giuffre. So I guess I haven't seen him make much. We'll move on. We won't play this because I've heard a couple people saying it's weirdly quiet. So why even bother? I don't really know if there's anything of substance. It seems he'll probably be honing in on it. I figured maybe we'd open with that to get what he was going at. Maybe I can find a better video at some point later while we're doing something else.
Yeah, I didn't. To my knowledge, he didn't actually post the question that he asked that got him kicked out. He kept saying he was the only legitimate question that was posed.
Yeah, I saw that elsewhere. I could probably find that real quick because it is. Yeah. I know. I one of the places I was watching commentary somewhere. I did find his question. So actually, let's right here. Actually, I literally wow. Twitter's listening to me. So here we go. Let's try this. This is a full audio of my question today at the Epstein press conference, followed by my removal. But it was literally the first thing when I opened X just now, which is weird. Followed by my removal by Capitol Police. Other journalists told me they can't remember anyone ever being ejected in this manner, even people who are genuinely disruptive. I just asked a question they didn't like, which I did see before, and I did feel like obviously all I saw was that in the snapshot, so it didn't look good. So, good for you, Tracy. I guess you might have got your snapshot moment, and maybe you have a point. But I guess let's watch this. Let's see. You heard that, right? That sounds a lot louder to me. You can't hear that? Oh, no, dang it. Never mind. Now it's StreamYard acting up. So give me a second.
Yeah.
Here we go. Now let's try this. Tell me if you hear it. You hear that? Mm-mm. It does the thing now where it doesn't, like when I share it, it doesn't bring up automatically. Now.
Mr. Edwards, right here, please.
You got it, right? All right. Jesus Christ. All right, let's do this.
Yes, so you represented Virginia Roberts Giuffre for many years. She eventually had to recant the allegations that she made against Alan Dershowitz. She alleged that on at least 6 occasions she had been sex trafficked to Dershowitz. She recanted that question. And so why is it that she should be regarded as credible in this respect? You're not going to answer the question? Is that an unfair question?
How do the victims feel about the interview that was given to Ghislaine Maxwell by Todd Blanche?
Well, why aren't you going to answer that question? How's that an illegitimate question?
We're good, guys.
We're not good. They just avoided my question. You don't care?
When you've talked in the past on MSNBC about the
That's amazing.
existence of the Epstein birthday book, have you yourself in the course of litigation seen it?
I don't know that we're able to reveal what we've seen and what we have not seen by way of protective order, but my point being in that circumstance was if anybody wants answers, there's an easy place to get it. I told you where to get it. I said the estate of Jeffrey Epstein has it. Serve a subpoena on them. They'll turn it over. And if we had served a subpoena on them in the past, they would have turned it over and we would have seen it, which I don't usually miss subpoenas like that. So there we go.
Can you elaborate on the
question, Ms. Davis? You mentioned to your question about the allegations. There's a simple answer. Release the files.
I agree.
Let the American public decide instead of.
But you and your colleagues are talking about this woman as though she has unblemished credibility. She made up egregious allegations against a prominent individual, among others. She wrote a memoir and then had to admit, Edwards and his other counsel had to admit it was a fictionalized memoir. He knows what I'm talking about, that contained hugely salacious allegations against a whole host of prominent individuals. So shouldn't you tell the public about this? He avoided the question.
Release the files. Release the files.
I agree.
That is the answer, and that's what we're here for.
He's answering my question. I'm not interrupting. He just came and answered my question. Wait. What are you doing? Are you kidding me?
Sir, so are you even congressional staff?
No, I'm not congressional staff. I'm a journalist. I was invited to the press conference. What do you think I'm doing here?
Let's go ahead and get out.
Ro Khanna said don't throw me out.
You've been given a warning, sir.
For what?
You're not a staff, sir. No,
I'm a journalist. I was invited.
Sir, if you don't move with me, you're going to be placed under arrest.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
Why are you being escorted out?
I don't know. Ask them.
Have a great day.
I don't know.
So,
I mean, it couldn't happen to a worse person, but I mean,
right. First off, that is a very, very deceptively framed question that is not honest, and he knows he's not being honest there. So Virginia Giuffre had a lawsuit against Alan Dershowitz. They had basically slander lawsuits, libel lawsuits.
I just want to say, though, his whole crux of it here is that because at some point some legal ruling said something, therefore it must be the truth. Like, as if, like, that's what it seems to hang on. Because it's like, there have been times she's conceded this or that, but there always is, to some degree. I mean, you have to realize what comes out in litigation and what is true are very often separate things. So it's odd that this is always a sticking point, that she made concessions about certain things at certain points in time, when we all know, especially given the looming context here, she has many, 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 many reasons to lie and to either take back certain things, maybe. I mean, for a number of reasons, for, trauma, even, mental health, or even just simply literal blackmail or threats or whatever. There's all sorts of reasons why she could do any number of changing of narratives.
So she had a lawsuit, a slander lawsuit against Alan Dershowitz. He had filed one back against her, and they ended up settling. And in part of the settlement, he dropped his lawsuit against her, and she dropped hers against him, and she issued part of the settlement, which had a lot of details. But the one thing we do know is that, because of course it had an NDA attached to it as well, but the one thing we do know is that she part of the settlement was she said she could have been mistaken. So that's him. She said, I could have been mistaken about whether or not Alan Dershowitz was, one of the people who, again, we know Alan Dershowitz was getting these, massages on Epstein Island from young girls, but they didn't count because he always kept his underwear on. And so, so that's Tracy's thing, is he's like, she lied, she made it up because she said she could have been mistaken.
It just seems like a silly stance to me. Like,
which again, it's like, dude, if you wanna go there, if you wanna just like die on this hill, whatever. But don't be surprised when people treat you like a scumbag.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, don't be wrong. I am the same. And this is actually why I think a lot of us weren't so hip to some of the warning signs with Trump early, is because it was in the midst of the Me Too stuff, and we were super dismissive about a lot of things, myself included. I was like, I'm very much, if anything, kind of dismissive of these sorts of things lots of times. But you also have to be a fair-minded person and be like, well, I don't know, there could be another side to it. And a lot of times you dig into it, you're like, oh, not everyone who cries rape is a liar. Sometimes they're telling the truth. So rape does happen. It does. And, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of reasons. Maybe she was mistaken. Maybe she really was. Yeah. Who knows? Or maybe she was just tired. Maybe she was just done. She had kids. She had a marriage that was falling apart. And she wasn't, I think, in a lot of times in a very good place mentally. And so, yeah, this stuff is really taxing and it's really hard. But again, so no, if you're just going to come up, smear her like this, everybody knows the reason why you're there, Michael. You're not there to get at the truth. You're there to score points because this is That's a good point. That's not a real question. Yeah. What are you expecting an answer for there? That like, yeah, she did. You are correct. Those legal proceedings occurred. What do you want from here?
The dead woman who can't defend herself, you came to attack, and you're upset because people threw you out. Because actually, why don't you ask a question about a person that's standing right there in front of you? Why don't you? But of course, no, he's latched on just the same way he did with Daryl Cooper, latched on to this one tiny thing. And and then wants to blow it up and use that one thing to kind of like just blow the whole case apart, and then also to discredit all of these other women who are very much alive, who you could question if you wanted to, but you aren't. And so don't be surprised when people treat you like a freaking dirt bag, you know?
I will say, I mean, I feel like maybe probably wasn't the smartest idea to kick him out, but like, I mean, whatever. I don't feel bad.
That's the other problem is he just won't shut up.
Yeah.
I have learned that the hard way, and to the point where I'm like, I'll never go into another space with him.
Yeah.
Because he just won't shut up.
All right, let's get into Let's get into our foreign policy roundup. We'll come back into the Epstein stuff and all the people running cover and all that craziness. But let's get over the foreign policy stuff. Yesterday, Donald Trump truthed out, which will never not be dystopian to me. He said, tell Hamas to immediately give back all 20 hostages, not 2 or 5 or 7, and things will change rapidly. It will end. I doubt it. And in follow-up to that, Hamas reiterated that, like, hey, well, we've been down this road, buddy. On Wednesday, they said they released a statement reiterating its long-standing offer to release all remaining Israeli captives in Gaza in exchange for a permanent ceasefire deal and Israeli withdrawal from the Strip. The statement came after President Trump said in a post on Truth Social that Hamas must release the 20 Israelis who are believed to be alive. So Hamas recently accepted a temporary ceasefire deal proposed by mediators Qatar and Egypt that was virtually identical to a framework previously approved by the U.S. and Israel. In a statement, Hamas said it was still awaiting Israel's response to the proposal. In short, essentially, they were holding out on like a full ceasefire in the past, and now they finally caved. And I don't say that in like to say that they were wrong necessarily. I get where they were coming from in that sense, but they've caved to a temporary ceasefire deal because, I mean, I think they're getting the picture of how bleak things are. But even then, it was like, I think even then they probably knew that it wasn't going to get accepted. This was a while back. But anyways, so we still have Trump, who probably, let's be real, he doesn't probably know jack shit about foreign policy. He's probably saying this stuff. Meanwhile, they have already had this deal on the table. So
right.
I don't have any hope for this.
Deal on the table since October 9th of 2023, right? We'll give you all the hostages back for immediate withdrawal from the Strip. Mm-hmm. And they weren't going to take it. They have no intention of taking it. They have no intention of stopping until they have ethically cleansed all of Gaza. And everyone knows it. It's not like this is all you have to do is just listen. If you really just listen to what the actual people in power in Israel say, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
You know,
Netanyahu's blocked 7 ceasefire deals in Gaza specifically. Right. That's not even including the other fronts he's dealing with. So,
right. Yeah. And he's got, he himself has got multiple corruption charges. I believe 2 separate corruption trials that have kind of just been put on the back burner while this war is going on. So this, of course, delay is also part of his own personal preservation strategy. And no one wants to talk about that. You know, Trump even like at one point, it was so gross, got in there and was like, oh, maybe we'll just stop giving you guys money if you insist on trying my boy Bibi for crimes, you know? Bibi didn't do nothing, all right?
Didn't do nothing.
Didn't do nothing.
Yeah, and Netanyahu's take on this is there's more spin. So essentially a breakdown of the situation. Trump says, release them all. This will end. Gaza goes, okay, we've already said that we'd do that. And Netanyahu goes, this is just spin. So that's our current foreign policy. In the last 24 hours, another 119 Palestinians have met their end, unfortunately. 113 via the old pew-pew, and the rest via starvation. So, I mean, we're getting in the realm where most days it's double-digit starvation numbers, which, let's be real, it's probably quite a bit more than that. And I don't know, that's super-duper bleak. So
it is. It's, you know... something I have been thinking really since December of 2023 was that they don't have an exit plan. Just setting aside all of the other stuff, is that just if you just look at the number of bombs that had been dropped, they don't have an exit plan because they need to be able to keep all international journalists out, right? They because as long as the videos are coming from Palestinians in Gaza, they can just say Pallywood, right? Which of course we know is BS. We know you can't fake this stuff. We know that no, they don't actually have like Hollywood level production studios where they've got fake blood on demand all the time, and they can just have all these just an unlimited number of corpses that they can fake. We know that it's real.
It's funny they call it Pallywood now that you think about it, because it's actually the exact opposite, because it's like modern technology has enabled them to be in this time to where they can document these crimes like they are. And it's actually the exact opposite. It's the little person documenting what's happening, and they're trying to spin this off as, oh, this is just some Hollywood spin or something. You're like, what?
Crazy.
It's like, no,
so
that's just modern technology is enabled to where we can keep track of your blatant evil. And it's funny you mentioned an exit plan. Israel expects new military operation to displace 1 million Palestinians in Gaza. This is from Kyle Anzalone over at the Libertarian Institute. So now this is, to be fair, this is one of those what I call a sources say story. Although they're kind of pretty upfront about this stuff. I think they have straight up said some of these people, but this story specifically is technically a journalist who spoke to an IDF official, an unnamed one. So, but they're expecting to displace 1 million Palestinians. So they're saying 70,000 have already fled their homes. So this is where we're at with it. That they're basically openly, and then we have people like Eric Weinstein here. I don't know if you saw this recently. I thought this was quite shocking. I just heard about this. I don't want him to
block me, so I just don't ever.
Dude, fuck him. I'll say it. Fuck him.
I know. I just don't want him to block me because it's just a pain when you're trying to screenshot stuff. And his brother follows me, and his brother is significantly. I'm like mutuals with him, and his brother.
He seems cool.
He's significantly more reasonable on this topic.
He actually, I think, is kind of against this shit, which is weird.
Well, he's very sympathetic to Palestinian suffering. Absolutely. I think, he probably still has some Zionist tendencies.
Eric toes the party line, or the tribe line, pretty dang well. Yeah.
He's sounds like just an absolutely brainwashed psychopath every time he posts something.
Yeah.
And he was a couple months ago was saying basically we need to send these anti-Semites to prison.
People forget this dude is fucking Peter Thiel's money dude. He is his money guy. Peter Thiel. I don't know. I've been shopping around and kind of in my head thinking of a fun sitcom or movie with Eric and his brother. I forget what's the other brother's name. Because it is weird. It really feels honestly, it looks like from everything I've read about Epstein, a lot of these things. Obviously, I'm not necessarily saying Eric is Jeffrey Epstein, but he has a lot of the similar profile type stuff. For stupid fucking theory of everything or whatever, and kind of these weird, a lot of this very similar circles, type of what is it you do type shit.
Right.
It's so, and then it's then he has his hapless brother who's actually kind of seems like a good soul. So I just feel like there's something hilarious there. His brother's some sinister fucking agent of evil, and he just is I want to do good things, and he has no idea why he happens to be doing well as proximity, but to his brother. So, I don't know. I have something. There's something there. There's some sort of funny skit, something, but I don't know what to make of it. I mean, maybe they're both a completely controlled thing. I don't know, because it is just so weird. He does the brother. I forget which the other brother's name or whatever. He does sell it really good. It seems genuine, whereas this guy is he's trying to. It feels like with Eric, he's trying to sell oh, I'm cool, hip, but it just doesn't sell it. No, you're literally the Grabbler personified. I'm sorry, it's not. I mean, it's and you're not helping it with the things you do.
I know. Paul Graham, he blocked me one day. I was like, what the hell did I do? He used to like my stuff all the time, and then one day, I don't know, I must have said something that rubbed him the wrong way.
Yeah. Well, I'll read this for I guess because there's people listening to this on audio, to be clear. Well, apparently there was recently a news, which I don't ever really cover these because I think they're kind of frankly gay, but like there was some other like a new group. What is this? The Genocide Scholars coming in, which cool.
You're like, yeah. Thanks for joining the freaking party. What, a freaking year and a half late?
Yeah,
okay.
What even group is this? The world's leading association of genocide scholars, whatever. It doesn't even say what the one is. But anyways, and some guy named Paul Graham, then who, I guess he's a big deal. He's 2 million followers. Never heard of him in my life. But he said, it's official, it's genocide. Well, and he said, kind of this like, oh, it's official or whatever. And then Eric Weinstein, it's been a theme on the show a lot lately, this idea of like twisting narratives or inverting things like concepts. So that's exactly what Eric is doing here. Because remember the COVID mania we went through recently? Well, listen to this. This is Eric's quote tweet of somebody saying it's official, it's genocide in these news. He says, "The experts have spoken. Also, Biden is sharp as attack in closed meetings. All climate science equals settled science. Only racists think COVID could have anything to do with a lab in Wuhan. Inflation doesn't come from printing fiat. Nature has no affinity for a gender binary." Says this post isn't about Paul, nor is it about what's happening to Gazans. It's about experts. I trust in expertise. This isn't it. Experts need to assert their independence from their paymasters or face irrelevancy. Experts as scholars need to stop delivering politics. Many professors claim I am weakening a belief in expertise by sowing doubt. No, not at all. In fact, it is exactly the opposite. I am saying that the experts don't deliver these crisp, simplistic political conclusions. I am saying that those who deliver these claims are not the experts. The experts are the ones these people fire for dissenting. They are the policy entrepreneurs in expert clothing. You still have experts. They just aren't sitting in expert chairs anymore. And by the way, I think that's exactly how he said it in his mind. This is how pretentious. And notice how there was not a fucking argument in here whatsoever. No point made, nothing.
Yeah, okay, so I don't know. Click on that thing again. I want to look them up. I want to see who this was because, I'm exactly like you. I ignore all of this shit.
Yeah, DW News.
If it took you that long, let's see. World's leading
International Association of Genocide Scholars. There you go.
Hold on.
Somebody says
and you
you're
just
joking.
know they're all going to be Jewish. All of it. Okay, the founders of this are Israel Charney, Helen Fain, and Robert Melson.
Well, this is super. Sorry, this is super news. I know this is kind of like gets in a little gay drama territory, but I find it interesting because people can make this connection. But there's a guy from obviously just take it with the word of Seth, the ex-user that I like on here. Which I don't know. We're mutuals. I remember him, but I don't know. I don't know him that well. But anyways, I worked with Brett's son for a bit during Unity 2020 and asked him about Eric, and he said their families don't talk much. Which I don't know. I find that particularly interesting. Okay. I don't know. Yeah. That may mean nothing. I don't know. I don't particularly talk to a lot of people in my family. I'm just not a person who talks much to anyone. The only person aside from podcasting, I talk to my mom maybe every other month. I'm awful. Yeah. And aside from that, the only other person I talk regularly in my life is my wife. You would think I talk a lot from my podcasting. I do not. Just my wife and my mom, and that's it.
It's funny because once you get done talking so much, you actually don't even really want to talk that much anymore.
Exactly. But yeah, anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, but that's interesting because that actually makes sense because Brett is very, I think, thoughtful and has been significantly more reasonable, and Eric has been insane.
He has human emotions and a soul, is what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. So I'm trying to find out who these people's funders are. So this is basically, it says the International Association of Genocide Scholars, global interdisciplinary nonpartisan organization, association founded in 94, meets regularly, consider comparative research, yada, yada, yada. Association holds a biannual conference. And I'm like, hold on, but who funds them? Yeah.
Who with 3 parentheses.
Yeah. There we go.
You actually, while we may joke and stuff, it's actually not correct. I was listening to some interview. I might have been a Dave DeCamp interview where he's talking to somebody, some sort of genocide scholar or something. And they were making the point that like almost the vast majority, actually maybe it was a Dave DeCamp story or something. There was some one of the guys who like kind of finally came on it, and he like one of the points he made is it was a Jewish guy, and is that like the vast majority of these people in this field are Jewish, and it's like
yeah, I know that's what I was saying. I was like, it's like this 100% had to have been founded by like a bunch of Jewish
which
guys.
makes sense. I mean, we can attach negative motive to it, but I mean, these people were kind of scared, from birth of like, hey, by their parents, and you're like, hey, they're gonna fucking kill you, and they're gonna do it again, and we need to make sure we don't do it again, and this is why it kind of makes it a big blind spot when they're the ones doing it again, and you're like, who's gonna say you're doing it? So, a real who genocides the genociders type situation. So, that was a stupid joke. I was playing off the Watchmen, but then it was like, that's pretty dark. But yeah, let's
I can't actually find the funding. That's weird. That's very weird. That it doesn't. Was founded by 2 Israelis, of course, but it's interesting because especially American Jews that I've seen are very, very fast to dismiss Israeli Jews whenever they go against their, really when they say anything anti-Israel. It's been fascinating to kind of watch the way that even Israeli Jews, like their experiences, their opinions, their things will get thrown in the trash along with all of us Pallywood people the second that they dissent from what is, at least as far as American Zionists go, is acceptable political opinion, right? Which again, and people always say, well, American Jews or American Zionists aren't as hardcore as some of the Israeli ones. And I think it's interesting because there are, of course, a lot of anti-Zionist Jews in the U.S. and then some that definitely aren't down with a lot of the craziness. But there's a very vocal, like your Laura Loomers in the U.S. who are literally just as insane as your Ben Gavirs. I mean, there is no daylight between these people. They're psychotic. And
speaking of these crazy people, have you had a chance to chew on this story yet? I did. It literally just dropped. Someone shared it. Thanks to Tyler Yonke here. Used to be my producer on my comedy show I used to have. But he shared this with me when he saw I was having you on. I wouldn't have found it otherwise. But apparently, Daily Wire is running with a story saying that the emir is alive, which I would assume Tony would hope this is true. But obviously, I'm assuming the angle here is to. I haven't read the piece, but I assume the angle here is to I don't know, make him look like he's lying. Although I don't know if he ever asserted that's the case. It's just kind of left in the spot where like I don't really know how to believe anything other than he's dead, given the situation. So.
Right. Whenever we talked to Tony, we didn't really focus on this story. So I don't actually know exactly what he said. I don't know what's a quote, what is a direct quote and what isn't. I know.
I don't recall hearing him assert it anywhere. And I think the point was, it was just kind of like, I think he had like no food. And I think he might have said like he saw.
Well, no, I believe he said that he thought he saw this little kid had been shot. And when they originally tried to debunk the story, they found a stepmom. And if I recall correctly, the original debunking of the story was that the parents were dead, but the stepmom was alive. I just looked at it. Somebody sent it to me. And now they said they found him with his actual mom. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know exactly what Tony said on this, so I can't compare. But if you need me to show you some dead kids in Gaza, I can.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like I don't know. I mean, whatever. I hope it's true. I mean, this is kind of like I hope.
Obviously, yeah.
I hope Amir is alive. But I guess let's watch this video. I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll get a better idea from the 17-second clip. Far be it for me to bore this show with reading the fucking trash that is Daily Wire. But let's watch this, because I'm interested. Whatever little trailer they try to feed us here, to see what the deal is.
First drawer to the left, bottom left.
مرحبا
كيف حالك؟
والله كويس.
الحمد لله وأنا كويسة. شو اسمك؟
Oh, sorry for the audience. It says what he said. Hello. That's the only thing you missed. He said, "What is your name?" We said, hello, essentially, how are you? Good or something. He said, what's your name? And now he's about to say, my name is Abdul. Crap, I accidentally went. What does it say right here? Abdul. Crap, the little thing's cutting it off. Abdul, whatever his name is. Rahim. Nice to meet you. Okay, that's all it was. So, I mean, whatever. It's just a little kid saying that's who he is. So, which I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. These are the two photos of him. I don't know. They look similar. I'll give you that. But I don't know. I feel like you probably could take any Palestinian kid right now that looks similar and prop him some fucking thimble full of water and he'd say goddamn anything you want him to say. So, I don't know. I don't know what to do with this. So that's basically where I'm at.
I'm like, it's not like it's just one kid that's been killed. This isn't like a George Floyd thing, right? Where this huge uproar got made over this one child, and then turns out the kid wasn't even dead.
Guys, call it off. Amir's
exactly.
okay.
It's like I
shouldn't laugh. It's awful. It's actually horrible.
No, it's not. I know.
Yeah.
You have to, or else you'll just end up punching shit, right?
Yeah.
But so I'm kind of like, I don't know, maybe he was wrong, maybe he got it wrong, but again, I can show you a video quite literally from 2 days ago in which there were, I believe it was 7 little boys who were gunned down. So what's your freaking point?
Yeah. It says you actually saw a different kid die, so there's actually no genocide, says Tom33 in the chat. We'll expect more of these stories coming forward because this has been something that's been seeded around and people have been talking about this and joking as well they should about this because it's insane. I want my fucking money is what I'm saying. But New York Post is from them. Paramount to buy Barry Weiss's Free Press for up to $200 million. Give her senior editorial role at CBS News. Which for those, we've talked about this in the show. She has this what's a blog, which I guess she has a few employees now. It's kind of become a minor publication of some sort, but no more than I don't know some Breaking Points or what's some other ones, the Young Turks or whatever. And even then they have larger infrastructure than she does. So I
think they only publish on Substack to my knowledge. Let's see.
But it's obviously the money isn't for some sort of product. It is, but it's not the free market that's speaking here, I guess, if you will. The 200 million. This is Ellison's son too, isn't it? The one who's the cyber spook. I can't remember his first name, but he's like a fucking weird Frankenstein cyber spook, just like Peter Thiel. Although Peter Thiel's a little bit more spooky, but either way, this is his son that's getting it, who I think actually just took over some sort of creative control over at CBS, because we covered that in the show. There was some weird ousting of major people over there, and then that kind of made room for this move to where they're bringing her on. They actually ran it was actually I think 60 Minutes that did it. They ran 60 Minutes ran some sort of piece that was pretty critical on the whole situation. And at that point, then they fired the long time 60 minute for basically ever I don't know what his role was, executive producer or whatever, the guy who had creative control. And then now they're kind of hampering it now, and now they're talking about putting Barry Weiss in there to have a editorial role over there. So and they're trying to amp up, and I think as a result, my feeling is they're trying to do this weird fusion of the new media, and they're trying to I feel like this was likely, if I had to guess, some sort of almost op to some degree from the jump whenever she went to go do her own thing of ooh, we're in the new media now, and so they're trying to do this weird
when 2
mix
years
thing.
later she was like, I'm done with COVID. I remember being so annoyed with her, when it was totally safe to say that she was done with COVID, when it was totally fine, and she would suffer no consequences or anything like that, then all of a sudden it was like, okay, well, now that Barry Weiss has said it, and she was a reporter at the New York Times, now that she's said it, now I guess everybody can be, done with lockdowns, done with COVID. And it's after our freaking kids have already missed out on a year of school. My kids, my daughter was shut out of school until it was February of 2021. So a full year, pretty much, almost a full year. She still had to wear a mask when they went back. She still had to wear a mask into 3rd grade when finally, it was about, I don't know, 6 months. Well, it was the first semester that they finally did away with the masks as well. And yeah, so when I had, Barry Weiss coming out after a year and a half and saying, I'm just done with it now. I'm just like, I was done with it in August of 2020 when I stood outside the governor's mansion in Raleigh with a sign that said, open the damn schools,
Yeah.
And that's where, I had people driving by calling, and that's where the whole thing, the village crazy lady came from, was the guys like slowed down and told me and my sister that we looked like the village crazy ladies out here.
And then more on this, we have Cassandra McDonald. She quote tweeted Red Pill. Yeah, I love Cassandra. She's great. I have lately been pretty prominently shitting on Timcast and the like, but she was the reason why, in my opinion, well, not even, I don't know, in my opinion, she definitely is the reason why I ended up on Timcast the times I did. So appreciate that for giving me a little bit of a leg up at the beginning of when I started doing what I do. But yeah, I'm also not going to simp for pedophiles. So sorry, Timmy. Anyways, kind of in this thread, Google just signed a $45 million contract with Israel to spread pro-Israel propaganda, pushing Israel favorable news stories to the front of the search engine. So, yeah, I mean, they're scrambling. Let's be real. This guy right here, our tax dollars. Let's go ahead.
He says, wasn't Barry Weiss the anti-war lady back in the day? Not to my knowledge.
I think she tried. I feel like I actually vaguely recall she sort of tried to do that move where like, oh, I'm anti-war, which even Douglas Murray, I think, tried to sort of do that for a while, where he positioned himself as sort of a forward thing, but sometimes you do need to go to war or whatever. Like, right. I don't know. There's certain people who have this weird... Yeah, there's people that, especially before Ukraine, between Ukraine and Israel, those were like two big movers that I think shook a lot of people out of this perceived anti-war position, because we were in this weird lull between both of those for different reasons.
Right.
A lot
and
of these people
Syria,
showed their true colors.
There were people who took weird positions on Syria as well. I'm just an isolationist. I just don't want us to have anything to do with any of these wars whatsoever. I don't care if it's Ukraine, Syria, nothing like that. The more time goes on. Oh, I know. Douglas Murray wrote several neoconservative books. Yes. I read them. I'm ashamed to say that at one point I used to be a fan of Murray. Although by the time I got to the third one, I realized it was actually just the same thing. His whole shtick is just telling you what's wrong.
To be clear, I'm not even saying he was anti-war. I'm saying is they kind of position themselves to the general populace to be perceived as anti-war, but then then people start going, oh, you wrote neocon books. Oh, this is your actual position that when push comes to shove, oh, you actually do want war for this specific thing. Doesn't sound all that anti-war to me. I think there are a lot of people like that. Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of his positions are like on domestic national issues probably make him sound perhaps like he would be anti-war, anti-intervention and whatnot. But no, he definitely
definitely not.
Yeah, at all.
And then, thankfully, on the not intervening, we won't be doing that, I guess, in the West Bank. We're just going to business as usual. Rubio signals U.S. won't oppose the Israeli annexation of the occupied West Bank. So, this is according to Israeli officials. They're saying that Rubio's saying this, so behind closed doors. But they're going to do this thing where they're probably, just say nothing or act dumb, forward-facing, I would assume, for now. Because, unless you're Huckabee, no one's really going to take the position of pro-annexation right now. Then on top of that, we have... remember when we almost went to war over Iran and nukes and stuff? Well, we got more construction going on over Israel's nuclear weapons program sites. Over here at Dimona, they're building new buildings. There's been satellite photos taken of that, which, okay, maybe there's other explanations, but hey, just a reminder that is there. And then also we have Israel that is invading Syria and literally abducting people and disappearing them. So that's where they're at now in Syria. And I'm sure Jelani will probably shake Netanyahu's hand in New York here soon for their fucking UN whatever. It's very bizarre.
Up, right?
Yeah, it is coming up. I don't know when it is. It's soon. It's sometime very soon. And the Palestinians won't be, the PLO and the PA won't be allowed to attend though, because they got their visas revoked.
Yes, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see. UN Special Assembly, right?
Mm-hmm.
September, or maybe it's the full assembly. Maybe it's not a special assembly. or it's the General Assembly. Okay, so it's going to be the 22nd through the 30th.
But you didn't forget about Anna Paulina Luna's insider trading meeting yesterday, right? Sorry, I don't know if you paid attention to her.
No,
I find her particularly
insider
interesting.
trading. I'm like, it's actually already illegal. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, where it gets at. It's also funny that you choose the day of, and then she also doesn't really. She posted a bunch. It makes it even look worse because she posted the day of or the day before about the like closed door Congress Epstein meeting, but then the day of when I feel like there's totally, you would think the political move would be to have some sort of way to graciously be like, oh, look at these, brave women or whatever, or something. I mean, even if you are like against the vote, you would try to find some sort of, but to like even just like ignore it altogether and pretend like it isn't happening. It's like, I feel like that's low tier. I feel bad doing this because it feels gay when you're like, why aren't you talking about X, Y, and Z? But it's like when it's like that's all you're known for. It's kind of like, well, that's what you're
right. Like, aren't you the chair of the whole Release the Files committee and everything?
Yeah, I shared this morning, and I don't know. I still feel like I don't know if you ever watched the Anna Paulina Luna Rogan interview, but I'm like I still keep thinking about that over and over again. I'm like, I can't see that as anything other than proof that Rogan's compromised. I saw your thing, yeah. I'm like, I really can't. The more I think on it, I'm like, it was over 2 hours, I think, of talking to some vapid, uninteresting, like just semi-attractive woman, I guess, and like I don't know.
She's super pretty, but I don't actually understand the appeal outside of her looks.
Yes, exactly. So, which people have this idea, they're like, oh, you're pretty, so like, okay, cool. Yeah, there is some level of men that go, ooh, pretty woman, ooh, podcast, but like you have to be such a level of simp to where you're like, you're going to do it just for that, like, because it's like the woman doesn't see it, like. If you had some simps out there, it's like not that like whatever number I get added to like downloads. It's like it's not like they're like, well, Mel knows. Like, so you have to be such a level of simp to behave in that manner. So it's like it really does come down to who's interesting. She's not interesting. She talked about dumb alien shit for like 2 hours and not even well. Like should be a semi-interesting, at least like a well you can go to of like semi-interesting stuff for fun and like make it good. But no, even then it was still just dreadful. But anyways, I'm off topic. I don't know why we got on to Anna Paulina Luna. Something you said set me off about reminding about her stupid insider. Because I kept checking over her account and being like, keep seeing all these stupid insider trading posts.
They only
need
like 6 more, don't they? They only need like 6 more signatures to get the thing passed.
Well,
I don't actually know the procedure on this. I think that Trump's whole thing, I think it's weird. I don't know what's going on. I got a bunch of cute people that follow me and they're like, blah, 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 blah. You got to trust the plan. And I'm like, look, the problem is, and I know Q folk get a lot of hate. I don't hate on, they're mostly nice people. So I try not to be an asshole to them, but I'm like, look, he's really old. Okay. And he could like die any day. Okay. And then what? Then what's the fucking plan? Okay. He needs to come on and release everything he can while he's still with us. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion. I have like ran out of patience for whatever it is you all think that he's doing.
Yeah.
Release the fucking files and be done with it. And no, you should not be smearing these women as, saying that whatever they're saying is a hoax and whatnot. Mm-hmm. That's weird.
Yep. We'll get into that. We have all that lined up.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're fine. I was accidentally getting a little bit ahead of myself too, because I know something you said brought me on that. And I was like, no, wait, Jose. But we still have Venezuela to cover. I have a few different tabs for this. Hegseth doesn't rule out regime change in Venezuela, which, to be fair, I don't know. Did we really expect what's the not department? What the hell is it even called? The minister? Not minister. I'm mixing up all my officials. Whatever the hell is Secretary of Defense. It says it right there. Sounds like too many foreign people. I went to minister, but anyways, yeah, it's not like the SecDef is gonna say, oh no, you're not good, because obviously that does kind of come down to it. But it is freaky. He says this is what he has to say. He says we have assets in the air, assets in the water, assets on ship, because this is a deadly serious mission for us, and it won't stop with just this strike. Referring to, we covered it yesterday, that strike on that little fucking dinghy. Anyone else trafficking in those waters who we know is a designated narco-terrorist will face this same fate, which is pretty fucking wild. Just be murdering people in other countries. Here's my buddy Clint on a suspicion of drugs, completely the sovereign nation. Here's J.D. Vance, what he had to say on it. Oh, am I getting audio again? Give me a second. Sorry. StreamYard needs to fix its crap. Give me a second. I gotta redo and bring it back up. Sorry, that really threw off the flow, huh? All right, let's bring this up. There we go. All right, here's J.D. Vance, what he had to say on this.
On the Venezuela vessel strike, what legal authority were you guys working under, and will there be an after report on the strike?
Well, I'm sure there's going to be an after report. I mean, the legal authority, and I want to talk about these kids, is that there are people who are bringing literal terrorists who are bringing deadly drugs into our country, and the President of the United States ran on a promise of stopping this poison from coming into our country. Another question?
And then my buddy Clint had to say, translation, there was no legal authority to do this, and the GOP is now getting on board with yet another illegal, undeclared, unconstitutional war. Here is Steven Crowder. Did you see the mouthpieces lining up? He's saying, if you're bitching about Trump blowing up Venezuelan narco-terrorists, but had nothing to say about Venezuelan gangbangers taking over American cities and flooding our streets with illicit drugs, might I suggest you're a total moron. Treasonous might be more appropriate. I don't know. I think I'm kind of okay. I can be consistent in me not to... I'll be honest, I've never really talked a whole lot on this show much about the old... And occasionally we'll talk about infiltration of drugs into inner city. I live in Florida, kind of in the boonies. It's not a fucking problem for me. If it's a problem for you, fix your shit. I'm sorry. But not my fucking problem. And doesn't mean I'm cool with murdering people in South America.
Right. Well, I mean, I took issue with JD's thing, like, oh, they're literal terrorists. Actually, terrorism has an actual definition.
Meaning,
and terrorists, people who commit terrorism, it's the use of violence. Here's I pulled up the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in pursuit of political aims. So no people trafficking drugs. That's quite a stretch. Now, you might have been able to say it with like Chinese fentanyl and whatnot, which
I think you could actually make it.
There could be.
I think you have a stronger case for us being the one. Not us, obviously. I didn't do it, but the United States military here being the terrorist in this given situation, except for the fact terrorism has a special carve out for.
Oh, you're frozen. You froze up. I don't know what in the world.
For in their definition for it can't be governments. Oh, did you have some audio issue?
No, you did. For me.
Oh, I did. Oh, yeah. my internet must have been acting up. I'm sorry. Hey, I upgraded my internet a while back, guys, so I don't know what to tell you. I'm sure it's some tech shit, but all right, am I sounding all right now?
The damn boonies.
Yeah, well, okay, it is what it is. Do I sound all right now?
Yeah, you sound fine, but you were just frozen.
I don't want to have to deal with those Venezuelan gangbangers. But I don't know if you have any thoughts on this. There was this parade with Xi, Putin, and Kim. I feel like there's something here. I believe this was supposed to be kind of celebrating the new multipolar moment, essentially, commemorating World War II, a specific event that happened. But there were a ton of world leaders: Xi, Putin, Kim Jong-un. I mean, if you go through the rigmarole, there was a bunch of European. There was one like head of state of Europe there. I think it was Slovakia. There was a bunch of like minor like ministers, cabinet members, or whatever the fuck, officials of all different European nations. But then lots of Asian nations. So I mean, I know. I think that this kind of ends our foreign policy portion, but I think. And it kind of perfectly flows into the Epstein talk, but it's kind of like I think the world's kind of had it up to here with him, and I believe it's my understanding too. Trump was invited to this, and despite that,
was he?
I believe he was. I mean, don't quote me on that. I think I was listening to somebody of rapport or
I was
of
wondering if
import.
he was or not.
I swear he was, but he put out a truth thingy on this. He said the big question to be answered is whether or not President Xi of China will mention the massive amount of support and blood that the USA gave to China in order to help it to secure its freedom from a very unfriendly foreign invader. Many Americans died in China's quest for victory and glory. I hope that they are rightfully honored and remembered for their bravery and sacrifice. May President Xi and the wonderful people of China have a great and lasting day of celebration. Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the US of A, he added. So that's the big line there, the conspiring, that to kind of add this connotation to it. I feel like there was no need for this to be, I guess beside all of our belligerent actions over the decades. But, once again, it's kind of like this, you'd think, if you were a smart political actor, or maybe there's forces we're not seeing here, the move would be to, I don't know, show up to this, behave graciously, accept the new world order as it is, without, pounding your fist on the table, because it's pretty clear that we're not going to be able to continue to pound our fists on the table and fund genocides that the entire world is against for much longer. We are eroding the power of our dollar, and we are going to pay for this in good time. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on this. I just thought it was particularly, there's something about this. I think this is, while there may not have like specific, real substantive commentary to give here, but I just think this is the symbols of a changing of the tide.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I do love a good military parade, and nobody marches better than the Chinese. That's for sure. Nobody goose steps better.
I don't know. The original goose steppers had it down pretty damn good. All right, Mel. Let's get into the Epstein stuff. Here is Thomas Massie. This is what he had to say. I wanted to cover this because we talked a lot about this yesterday. We covered the press conference. I do want to let you guys know, for those who religiously watch the show, I know we stopped near the end of the stream because it's just like we were getting long and it's kind of just dragging on. There was only one other victim or whatever, like the unmasked victim or whatever, that we didn't cover, that we didn't watch. So, but you can go back and watch that on your own. And then also there was questions after that we missed. But this is what Thomas Massie had to say about the release, because we talked about they released those Epstein files. So this is what he had to say, and then we'll cover Trump's reaction to it after.
I'm afraid this is going to be like Pam Bondi's Binders. People are going to dig into it and say there's nothing new here. They haven't given us anything. They've given us the sleeves off their vest.
The president's called it a hoax.
He's called it a hoax. I hope he doesn't say that after tomorrow.
Oh, actually, I got the order out wrong here. I thought it was... Anyways, let's go on. Well, actually, maybe... Never mind. He said it called it a hoax multiple times, but let's keep going.
When 10 of the survivors testify in public, that would be very disrespectful. I'm afraid.
Well, despite it being very disrespectful, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what Trump did. I believe this was correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you know better than I do. Well, I don't know. I guess it was right around the same time they were doing the actual thing.
Yeah,
so I guess
it was being held outside when he was asked about that.
Although I guess that kind of makes it worse now, doesn't it? Than if it was after. But let's watch what Trump has to say. People ask him directly. I don't know if they'll cover the question here. I saw this clip some places. I can't remember if this one had it or not with the question, but the question specifically referred to Massie and kind of what he was doing. So it is kind of, to some degree, the context here is directed at Massie, which you would miss if you didn't hear the question. So, but let's go ahead and play it.
Mr. President, right now, there have been survivors of Jeffrey Epstein speaking at a press conference on Capitol Hill. They're calling for these case files, these documents to be released. And Thomas Massie, who was sponsoring a discharge petition to get the House to vote on releasing those documents, says he doesn't believe you're implicated in these files, but many of your friends and donors may be, and he says that's why the Justice Department is redacting them and slow walking the release. Is the Justice Department protecting any friends or donors, sir?
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president. Even if you look at D.C. right now, D.C., it's a totally safe zone. It's called a safe zone. That's a term. It's a term of art. It's a safe zone because it's very safe. You can walk down the street now and nothing's going to happen. No crime, no murders, no nothing. Because we had a lot of problems with certain places, and we still do. All run by Democrats, or for the most part run by Democrats. So what they're trying to do with the Epstein hoax is get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the tremendous success like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars. Nobody's going to talk about because they're going to talk about the Epstein whatever. I understand that we were subpoenaed to give files, and I understand we've given thousands of pages of files. And I know that no matter what you do, it's going to keep going. And I think it's enough, because I think we should talk about the greatness of our country and the success that we're having. I think we're probably having, according to what I read, even from two people in this room, we're having the most successful 8 months of any president ever. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
What do you think, Mel? There's just too much to even go into there. Like, this almost makes me not quite as irate, but it reminds me, I guess kind of what I was getting at the other day. I got pretty irate. Did you see that fucking Alex Stein blow up, that clip that went around for a little bit there?
I didn't. I should have watched this. Somebody said it was deceptively edited. And so
it was just, I mean, he did freak out, but it was like, if you realize the degree to which they were gaslighting, running interference, just sidetracking him, and and clearly, it's, you'd get upset too. And like kind of the condescending, dismissive nature of everyone when it's like they're literally talking about a child trafficking ring, and you're like, yeah. And then add to the context, it's Alex Stein, who's like, an over 6 foot tall, large man. And like, I don't know, with these bunch of women and little Phil. So like, I don't know. It's just I could understand why someone would get heated. I could totally get where Alex is coming from. Like, you're going to be face to face with me and gaslight me like this when I'm like probably a good 50 plus pounds bigger than you. About this specific topic. Yeah. Like, I'm going to be pretty angry with you. Like,
I know. I crashed out on a space one time with Michael Tracy, and I just ended up yelling, like, telling him to grow the fuck up. And that he was, I forget what just a fat loser or something like that. I was so, because again, it's just this constant gaslighting, and they'll talk over you. But yeah, I mean, again, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not emotionally mature enough, or in, such control of my faculties that I can. It's infuriating when I have people that I know, right? Like, it's. Like, I know that you know. And so why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, it was crazy. I don't know. We're not going to rehash that, but it's funny. I see Andrew Dogan.
That is like the original gaslighting, right? Is to make you think you're going insane.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing is that you have to watch the clip, because it really is like one of those, like, the point he's kind of arguing is a very blatant, like, how, like, it's like, it's almost just like, am I talking to a wall? You have to be willfully ignorant to not get what I'm saying right now. And it was like over and over and over again, and then refusing to answer questions, and everyone else inside. It's just it was a master class in Zio propaganda. But anyways, I see Andrew.
Can Trump paint himself more guilty? This wise elk. And what's really weird about that, because I agree, he does look super guilty. And yet, at the same exact time, the victims were giving their press conference, and they like repeatedly said Trump wasn't part of this. So it's like,
I think one said some aside implying something, but it was weak. Yeah.
Right, and it's like, so why are you doing this? Like, what is your goal here? Like,
Cassandra brought up a good point the other day, but I think not quite in the way she saw. I saw something she posted on Twitter about how this very point and like how he's acting, and she kind of made that point, like, I don't think, and a lot of people think he might be doing this or that, but I mean, it's probably something like Ivanka, and she was implying like a physical threat of some sort. But what a lot of people don't realize is Ivanka at 14 was a model for John Casablancas, who was renowned for being a pedophile, whatever you want to call. He was living with a 15-year-old, and it was well known at the time he was friends with Trump. And I mean, Trump had his modeling agency. You had Jean-Luc Brunel. Like, it gets pretty dark, and it's like, I don't know to what degree Trump did what or this or that, but there is maybe even an angle to where maybe, I mean, I'm actually more of the mind that I think he did some crazy shit, but it's also, it could be something as with his daughter. I don't know what happened in that modeling world. There could be things, I mean, as dark as it could be, literally he could be getting blackmailed with his own daughter's CSAM. Like, so it's like, this is a kind of dark, murky world we're kind of operating in here. So it's not that crazy. It's something, could be something like that, or even just a physical threat or something. So there's a lot of unseen forces.
I think it's either Israel, obviously, or there's probably some like shady financials. That's what I've always thought, that there was really shady financials because again, I think we talked about this last time, just that Epstein was part of Bear Stearns before Bear Stearns got taken over by JP Morgan. And it's very weird because Epstein actually went to jail very conveniently, like right before the market crashed in 2008. And he was kind of like just in prison the whole time when the whole like huge fallout and bailouts and all of that stuff was going on. And he pretty much walked away unscathed from Bear Stearns going under.
I mean, maybe you don't know this. I saw something the other day, and I meant to dig into a little bit of the receipts to get a better understanding of it. But I think there was some sort of spot where Trump financially got his ass saved by the Rothschilds. And then it's fucking Alan Dershowitz literally brags the Rothschilds are who introduced him to Epstein. Like, we're talking dark Masonic, like weird fucking like stuff here. I know it sounds kooky and like you're like, oh, you're just crazy, everyone's pedophile. Like
Well, it's not just that. If you look into like Roy Cohn, who I know that's you know, if you guys ever want to read a really good book, I like Whitney Webb. I don't have anything against her, but some of her stuff is just really dry. Like it's so dense and it's so dry and it's
this
really
is not going to be taken well, but she needs to learn to, like, I don't know, shower, brush her hair, or something. And I don't mean to be mean. It needs to be said. I've noticed it a few times. And it's like, she has great work, and I've seen her on streams. It's distracting, even for me who likes her, where I'm like, I can't help it. There's like literally curly cues coming up, and you're all greasy, and like, just basic stuff. What's going on here?
Yeah, she just has like.
I feel mean saying that, but I feel like it's necessary to be said.
I get it. Those things can be distracting. I totally get it.
If I'm being bothered by it, imagine the general populace out there. Like, and like that's one of my main gripes against Michael Tracy is like look at this, like it's not even gripe, not even my main gripe, but it's an easy, I guess, punching bag. Look at this piece of shit. Look at him. So it's like, come on.
Yeah, for Whitney Webb, so a lot of her stuff is just so dense for me. But there's a great book it actually came out before Webb's book, and it's called The Dark Quadrant, and it's by Jonathan Marshall, I believe.
Sounds familiar.
And it is fantastic. I actually enjoyed it. I've only made it through the first, just kind of grinded through the first volume of Whitney Webb's book. But yeah, so it's Dark Quadrant and Jonathan Marshall. And it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But it traces the history of the mob in this country, like the actual, like the real mob, not just, like what you're probably thinking of. Like,
speaking of the mob, I referenced that Iranian little tidbit. Did you know that he was it Ivan Rolkin? I think maybe Ivan something. During that period of time where Epstein was living in the Iranian embassy in New York. This is during the time where we kind of shut off relations. So I mean, obviously the Iranians weren't there. I'm not insinuating an Iranian connection. Right. It was just like he lived there while the Iranians weren't using it type deal. And it was like a big, some sort of large residence. And apparently before that it was owned by that Ivan guy or whatever the hell his name was. And not owned. He somehow just started living in there during that period of time. And then there was some sort of weird, then the feds tried to evict him because he wasn't paying anything and he was just living there somehow. He's essentially squatting. And then the feds, for some reason, let Epstein live there for $15,000 a month. But then Epstein then sublet that embassy out to the very guy that was had it before for $20K. And he sublet it for $20K. And he paid the $15K, so he was taking $5K off the top. But even then, furthermore, that Ivan guy was subletting it further to other individuals below them, and the connections get weird. For example, the original owner, the Ivan guy, he was a lawyer for the Sicilian mob at one point in time, and particularly the pizza connection. This is where you get to weird things where you'll lose your mind, where they were running drugs out of pizza restaurants in the United States, pizza fronts. And I forget this. There's a specific financial entity that comes into play here in some way called Comet Fund, Which, I mean, I see the realization of what the fuck is this? Like, what is going on? So, yeah, this is you'll lose your mind in this world.
Ivankov, is that?
I forget. I had it saved. I could find it later. But yeah, it's just a wild one. I forget what the point of that was. The mob, the Sicilian mob connection. And let's be real. I mean, as like, it's hard not to be. I mean, I'm just being truthful, but I mean, I got to make jokes, so I'm doing it. It's let's be real. It's Sicilian 3 parentheses. Like, it's probably what we're talking about.
That's what I like about the Dark Project. So it's about the mob, but it really
there's Sicilians, but they're also something else, probably.
Well, there's a Sicilian mob, and then there's a kosher mob, and Marshall does a really good job of like tracking all of that, because we always just get like, the what is it? The Nosa Nostra, I forget what they call it, but he does a very good job of actually tracking, because what happened in like the 40s and the 50s was all of these mobsters from Prohibition, these huge mob networks, the Jewish ones kind of just went quote unquote legit on Wall Street, in gambling, in banking, in real estate and whatnot. And so they very often just get swept under the rug, or people, and we only ever focus on the Italian mob. And so that's what I appreciated. It's a significantly more condensed version of Webb's book. So I recommend that to people. I think actually you can, it was free on Audible for a while. I think it actually just went off, but you can get it on Audible. But I've read it. I have the hard copy, and I listened to it. So
yeah.
I don't know why we started talking about that, but
I don't know what we got. The mob, and then we were talking about mob connections, and I just had to tell you, like, hey, I don't know if you know this mob connection, because it's weird, especially because on this show I like to. I don't know if you've dug into like Operation Gladio and stuff like that, and like the concept of like. I mean, it is a thing, and it's like once you understand Epstein's like path, it really does kind of course, especially like Iran-Contra connections that are out there with some of his stuff, and then the kind of things I just pointed out, and then the drug connections, but kind of the overall, I guess, hypothesis with like a colloquial Gladio as opposed to the literal Operation Gladio is the idea is the feds put behind these stay-behind networks that, where they would run guns initially, and kind of was also like they would have people there to do whatever operations, and then these pipelines, naturally they needed funding, so if they're from there you get the drugs enter in the equation. The guns were already kind of assumed, so you have the drugs, the guns. And then there's kind of this other thing that sometimes gets snuck into the equation here, and I just find it kind of interesting that we may kind of perhaps with an Epstein be peeking a little bit into that, as I was kind of getting a little bit there, like that pizza connection, like the idea of like they were running drugs to these fronts, and it's like, I mean, I don't know. There's something to the Pizzagate stuff. I never got too much into that too, but then there's it's also the idea of trafficking. I think these networks very much run parallel. Maybe not every single node trades in the same exact currency, but they probably, a lot of them, a lot of crossover, and it's very much parallel. So,
right. Yeah. I'm one of these people who I actually don't think there's one kind of like overarching thing pulling the strings. I don't necessarily think everything is connected, perhaps maybe related, sometimes distantly, but I think most of these operations actually kind of run on their own and by design, right? So that if you take down one, you can't take down them all, right?
But they kind of went private in like around the 50s to 100s, and so now it's become almost this a language that certain independent contractors just know how to speak. This world, this other separate economy, I guess you could say, is probably a better way to look at it, as opposed to a all-encompassing, controlling conspiracy of some sort. It's more of like, no, we're just talking about a dark economy.
I tried to listen to Pete Quinonez's series with, I think it's like Thomas 777 or something like that, on Operation Gladio, and I couldn't get into it. Because they're always, every time anybody does something on Gladio, it's always like 27 parts, and they're all like an hour and a half each.
So sprawling.
And I I can't.
Yeah, it is like kind of the backbone of the Fed network, and like you are at the same time, while we are describing an interlocking network, it is to some degree it sort of runs on its own as a lot of, I guess, what you'd call private, even though they're not really. They're like this mixture. But anyways, let's I guess get back into the Epstein like we're talking. On to the next one. This is from Benny Johnson. I haven't watched this yet. Apparently though, Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene are talking about reading the Epstein client list aloud. Which I noticed in this, I think we covered it yesterday. One of the victims said something about possibly arranging a list of their own, but then I don't know who said it, but I don't know if it was Massey or Green or maybe a lawyer or somebody said, "Oh no, we're not going to do that." I don't know why, but the reason because possible legal issues. Yeah, and then they said Massey and Green then kind of said, "Well, we're going to do it then." It was just
read it. Yeah.
So let's watch this video. See, I guess specifically what MTG has to say here. So. Of course, once again, give me a second. Stupid ass StreamYard. Give me a second. All right. Give me a second. All right. Here we go. Now it's back. Sorry. StreamYard's acting up.
Well,
this is a clear. There's a clear line right there. And
read it and weep. Yeah.
Are we supposed to deny what our eyes and ears tell us? And absolutely not. And I want to follow up on something else, Benny. It's not anti-Semitic to talk about this. And it's not anti-Semitic to question any foreign country's government, secular government, including Israel. And I think that's the right thing for people to do, is to always question any foreign government's motives, especially when they come to our country constantly demanding money and demanding help and support. Unfortunately, I don't see enough of the American people in the halls of Congress demanding help and demanding support and demanding funding. But I do happen to see a lot of foreign countries' leaders and diplomats coming to Washington on too frequent of a basis.
Yeah, we fund a lot of other countries' borders better than we fund our own. Is that correct?
Yes, Yes, that's correct. Yes. I have an amendment, actually. I have several amendments going for our NDAA that is being worked on right now. This is our Department of Defense funding, and it's over $800 trillion, actually close to $900 trillion is the total bill. But unfortunately, there's money in there for foreign aid, and I'm introducing amendments to take it out. I'm introducing an amendment to take out the $500 million for Israel. They already receive $3.4 billion annually every single year through the State Department. I've got those same amendments on Taiwan for $500 million and for Jordan for $500 million as well. Those are countries that also receive significant amounts of American taxpayer dollars every single year. And here's a ridiculous one, Benny. There's 15 million in there for AIDS prevention education activities. And I don't know why Americans are having to pay for that in Africa. I think that's ridiculous. And I think if people want to donate money to that themselves, they can, but it shouldn't be in our Department of Defense funding, as well as $118 million for foreign disasters in foreign countries and aid. You know, I think we've had enough of our own natural disasters in America, and that's exactly where our hard-earned taxpayers should be going, not to foreign countries. And that's not being mean to foreign people and foreign countries, but America's broke. We're $37 trillion in debt. We just can't pay for the world anymore. And that's not being an isolationist. That's actually being smart and serving the people that pay for all of this stuff and have been chained into $37 trillion.
Right, am I retarded? Or did they not say that at all in that clip whatsoever?
Yeah, she did not. Hold on.
What the hell, dude?
Yeah.
They definitely said it somewhere. I know there was a clip of, like, I think it was Massey or something, but, like, I don't know. Sorry, guys. What the hell? It literally says right here. MTG announced they will read, and, like, I guess technically it never said here it says that, but I don't know.
I hate it when they do that. I hate it when they add a clip, and then I'll share it because I don't watch the clip,
Yeah.
you know, and then, yeah, I've actually learned the lesson the hard way. Hold on.
What the hell, dude? All right. Well, that's checked, but Massey did for sure. What the hell, dude? That's definitely been reported. I've seen it elsewhere. I just saw a clip, and I was like, oh, cool. It'd be better to deliver it in the form of a clip. With Massey, I think it was Massey who said it. Epstein list, house floor. Let's try that. That'll probably bring up something.
Yeah.
Where it says who? Just in. They intend to leveraging. So it sounds to be. They keep saying it's Here we go. Let's try that. Let's try this one.
The survivor said that they had.
No, Massey did tweet it too.
He did. He said, survivors at the press conference announced they are probably compiling their own Epstein list. They would be sued into homelessness for naming names. But Marjorie Taylor Greene and I are willing to name names in the House of Representatives under constitutional speech or debate immunity. He tweeted that yesterday or last night at 7:37.
Yep.
So.
Had decided to compile their own list. But the reality is, if they try to release that list, they're going to be sued into homelessness. They will be attacked. They will have death.
Sounds to me like he just tweeted out his statement later. So, okay. We don't need to replay that again. So I don't know when they expect to do that. I'm assuming the vote would probably be soon. I don't know exactly when it is, if they said anything about the specifics of when the vote would be. Or sign, because it's a signing thing. So there's got to be a cutoff to when it runs out. You said, I saw people in the chat saying that there was doubting that it would get passed. Where you said, I think when we were, maybe before we started, that they were like 12 away or something, or 10 or something. So not a ton, although, so I don't know. We'll see. Because they are saying it's supposedly like a offensive act or something. All right. Let's get into this. I don't know where this, apparently, the funny thing is I think this is the same exact account, so take this with a grain of salt. Have you seen this elsewhere? I've seen this, a missing minute supposedly finally been released. Is this from the administration? Have you seen that? Because
just to jog people's memories real quick. So there was always this missing minute, and they said that it was because the cameras flipped over at midnight, and that's what it was from.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody put a bunny in there. But no, so it was always missing. But then I guess at some point, I think Pam Bondi said that it was a nothing burger. Then other people came out and said, well, actually, the minute isn't missing. It's still in there. It should still be in there. And now we know that there was a person who just happened to be walking into the tier, which again, I don't know if you can, zoom in there. This is not Epstein's.
Let's go and play it.
Those are not his cells. It's like going up the stairs over there to, I guess, up that way.
Can you see my cursor or no? I don't know. Can you see my cursor?
Yeah,
or
I can
does
see it. Yeah.
So you can see me like kind of doing a circle here.
Twirling, yep.
All right. So then people watching, sorry for the audio. It's like, I know the staircase to his cell is right here.
Yeah.
So there. So you will be able to see, I think in this minute we get to see guards going this way. And they'd shown in previous ones too, they said that no one, even after the time was supposedly shut down, there was some orange glint you could see here at one point implying an inmate of some sort.
Right.
But this is the minute, like you said. So I think they said there's supposed to be guards. I haven't watched this, so who knows? This could be another dud. So
I watched it. There's a guy. There's
supposedly a missing minute. We're at 48 seconds. Right there. Right there. Oh, you see a guard moving right towards. Do we see him go up the stairs?
No, I mean you can't even see anything.
Yeah.
It's pathetic that they say that we still have this
movement over
view.
here too. It's like there's multiple guards. So
the idea, and I thought CBS. I actually included that in my thread on Cooper. I thought CBS actually kind of nailed it with that, in which they said
best Megyn Kelly's reporting this too. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is just this incomprehensible in the cover up here. It's once again another, because the idea was, like you said earlier, like this supposedly doesn't even exist. It was supposed to be some weird old timey system that shuts off for a minute and then has to start back over or whatever. But no, just kidding. I guess this old timey system for some reason saves that minute separately or something. I don't know what the fucking excuse would be here. I don't know how much longer they can run cover for Bondi. Not that I even am saying it's Bondi's fault. Let's be real. It goes up to Trump, and it's kind of silly that everyone keeps. I mean, how many times do you have to say it's bullshit? And does he need to like flagrantly, like just overtly disrespect the victims? I don't know what he has to do to the point where you're like, I don't think he wants these to come out. Like, I don't know what people need to hear to be like, not be like, they're Bondi.
CBS did it. They said so. CBS analysis of the video that the FBI made public earlier this month. This is the one where the orange guy's like walking. Says reveals the recording doesn't provide a clear view of the entrance to Epstein's cell block. One of several contradictions between officials' description of the video and the video itself. CBS News also digitally reconstructed the special housing unit where Epstein was held using diagrams and descriptions from a 2023 report on Epstein released by the Justice Department Inspector General. The CBS News review found the video does little to provide evidence to support claims that were later made by federal officials. Additionally, CBS News has identified multiple inconsistencies between that report and the video that raises serious questions about the accuracy of witness statements and the thoroughness of the government's investigation.
And then my buddy Ken here, he quote tweeted it, and he pointed out this does align with the BOP's timeline, which says that a prison guard conducted his last check on Epstein at midnight.
He said that. Yeah.
So just to be aware of, obviously, so if anything, the BOP looks better here. So I don't know exactly. Right. Obviously, I don't know if he got killed, he killed himself, if he got out, but at the very least, BOP's timeline at least matches up. So. That's what we know right here.
It's so shady, right? Yeah. I mean, it's just there's so many failures that if it had just been the videos, but the guards weren't asleep, right? Yeah. If the guards were just asleep, but we still had the full videos. If he hadn't just been taken off of the suicide watch, it's all of these things. Again,
so bizarre.
Supposedly you're it's not even possible to hang yourself with the sheets that are given. Like they have something like a 30-pound break.
Did you see the sheets that he supposedly hung himself with? I don't know if you've ever noticed. According to the police, apparently they cut him down when they came in there. But if you look at it, there's for one, just perfectly neatly little noose made out of some sort of fabric, and also there's no cut. There's no. It looks like kind of a perfect little little piece of cloth. Yeah. There's no clear area where someone cut it or whatever in a shear type of whatever quick way knife. However, they claim to do it. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. It's what the fuck happened here?
Right, and from what I understand, he was 6 foot. So I guess they said he slid down the side of the bed to do. I don't know. It just seems to me like such a stretch that all of these things would have had to happen to line up perfectly, which again kind of goes back to seems how it has been with everything that has involved him, right? Whether it was the original case or even all the way to his death. This is, for whatever reason, everything just kind of works for Jeffrey Epstein, right? So many people just throw money at him. He's just allowed to do all of these things. The guy just glides through life for no rhyme or reason, is what we're told.
Man of international intrigue, just living the life. Don't look behind.
Nothing, no actual particular reason for any of it, all the way up until he decides to just off himself, and even then, everything just happens to go perfect in such a way.
Last story, Mel. I saw this before we started, and I don't know. Maybe I'll cover this more in depth, maybe tomorrow or something on the morning show. But I kind of want to talk to you. I haven't had a chance to dig into this whatsoever, but I guess Lauren Chen is back on Twitter, and she kind of dropped some sort of tell-all of some sort. So I don't know to what degree you've dug into this. I don't know. I mean, I never really put much stock in it, and I know everyone I feel like there's this insinuation because people have stupid perceptions or that's because you're running cover for Timmy or this or that. I'm I don't give a shit. I've fucking talked mad shit about him. But it's it just didn't really, something about that whole situation didn't seem to make sense. It's the little bit I dug into it, it sounded like something weird going on there, and especially given the international climate at the time. And let's be real, while I have, I think Timmy kind of runs cover for the Zionist Project. He was fairly so far as when it came to the Ukraine-Russia war, he was pretty anti against that. So I mean, it kind of makes sense that the seeding of the Russian this and that, and this was during the era where that was the vector at which they attacked Trump. Tim is kind of seen as a Trump toady, in the word of Barry Weiss, and so it kind of it kind of makes sense. or kind of I don't know. It kind of would make sense from a conspiratorial mindset of like maybe throwing a little bit of skepticism on that. And then when I look into it, I'm just kind of like I never really find much there. At the very least, even while it's kind of like I'm completely open to the idea of being like, haha, look, Timmy's doing this. It's kind of like, well, I'm not seeing, at least at that level. Lauren, once you got a little bit closer to it, gets a little bit more dubious with whatever's going there because she's closer to whatever this supposed shady money source is, to which even then I was kind of always a little bit like, why is this really even a problem? People get money from foreign entities all the time. I got a little bit confused by the ins and outs. It just seemed kind of like a low-hanging fruit, so of some sort to slap at. But I'll pass it off to you because you've probably actually dug into this a little bit as opposed to me. My instincts were kind of like this seemed like meh from the jump. So yeah.
The case was weird. It was pretty weak from the get-go. Just for people who don't know, the indictment was of 2 Russian nationals who were not in the U.S., were never arrested. Supposedly, they are the ones who had started this kind of media investment firm, I guess. And they invested into Tenet Media, which is what Lauren Chen, the business that she ran with her husband. And then Tenet had contracts with these influencers, right? And they would make these influencers like Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, Dave Rubin. There was it Lauren Southern? And then there was one other guy, like Tyler something, I don't know his name. They were paying them to make content for Tenet Media. So Tenet was putting it on their YouTube, right? So it wasn't like, when Tim Pool was making these videos, it wasn't for whatever his thing is called. But and I guess they were paying them kind of exorbitant amounts of money. I don't know. I'm not a fan of any of those people. I don't watch Tim Pool. I have tried to watch a couple times and he gets on my nerves. So
it's not a good watching experience.
It's not. And so, yeah, I think like who would pay, several $100,000 for one of his shit videos. I do think that. And so I'm like,
you're like, I sense an artificial thing. Where is it? So I get where people do your flags go up. Like, well, what's going on here?
But apparently they all said that was normal. And I'm like, holy crap. I don't understand how it is that these dog shit commentators get paid so much money, but whatever. And so Tenet had, I guess they were given essentially $10 million. And from what I understand, most of it was distributed to these influencers, but the source of that money was these Russians, supposedly. That's what we're told. Lauren says in her thing that a lot of the stuff that was put into this press or that indictment wasn't true. And that people think that the government can't lie. Let me tell you something. The government can 100% lie. Like they'll just straight up lie. Not even that they can't prove it. I'm talking about these a-holes will literally just put lies into these indictments.
I don't know if you've ever dug into Jesse Trenity's story. His brother died under dubious circumstances in relation to the Oklahoma City bombing. He's been on a multi-decade crusade fighting with multiple FOIA lawsuits. Essentially for the surveillance tapes and that are confirmed to exist. We know they exist, but they've been we haven't been able to see them. Even confirmed in Secret Service documents, a second person got out of the truck. And the exact time and everything with McVeigh, yet we've never seen this guy. Anyways, during one of the many, like I said, multi-decade legal battles, he's gone on multiple legal fronts on the civil, on the criminal, and like FOIA. He won $1 million from the government because for his the wrongful death of his brother, they were found to be some sort of at fault, and so they owed him $1 million, and he used that to fund continue legal attacks against the government for this. But point being, what I'm driving at here, at one point during, I forget which specific trial, there literally was an instance where the FBI was caught in a lie. And their legal justification was it was within their legal right to lie to the court.
It's so nuts. So I always tell this story about, I used to be a paralegal for a criminal defense attorney once. And we had a client who was charged with shooting into an occupied dwelling, a drive-by, right? And our client was innocent. Like he was like,
I thought you said shitting
innocent.
For a second. I was very confused. I thought it was some sort of public. I was like, what?
His best friend was the guy who did it, and everyone knew this. But they were trying to put it like our client to squeeze. They wanted him to testify against his friend, and he just wasn't going to do it. And that's a long story in and of itself. But I remember watching this video. So when you get a discovery file, right, you'll get like a list of evidence, right, that the government has. And one of the items on the list said gun case. And it's like, okay, whatever. So I'm going through and I'm watching the raid of our client's house. And he was really young. He was only 17 when this happened. So his mom's there. His mom was hilarious. So that was actually the reason why I was watching, because his mom was like, I don't know, she was just a trip. But so I get to a part in this, we're watching the body cam. I'm watching the body cam video in which the detective, or actually it's just a county sheriff, comes to this metal case, right? And she opens it up and it's full of poker chips. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Like, I have one of those cases. I literally have like one of those poker chip cases. It's like metal and it's like kind of studded on the outside. You open it up, it's nothing but poker chips. And she says, this could fit a gun. She takes the poker chips, dumps them on the bed, closes it up, and that was their gun case that they confiscated, because she said this could hold a gun. And technically she was technically not lying, right? Of course, I mean, anything could hold a gun.
I mean, your purse is a gun case at that point, you know? Yeah.
Right.
Like,
but I remember like just being so flabbergasted, because I was like, holy shit, like this is just a lie. Like they took these poker chips, dumped them on the bed. This was clearly just a poker chip case, you know? And yeah, the government can and will do that in order to put the squeeze on you. And so when she says, you know, like, oh, there were lies in there. Yeah, 100%. I absolutely believe it. I have seen it with my own two eyes. They can and will lie in their indictment. And so that's what she basically says. And on her, what's really sad though is that she said that they confiscated all of their money, took all of their savings, everything. She's Canadian, so they canceled her visa and basically kicked her out of the country. She had to go back to Canada. And then the Southern District of New York just quietly closed its case, closed its investigation against her this year in April, but now refuses to give their money back. So they just took all of their money and we're like, yeah, well, we actually didn't prove, but because of civil forfeiture laws in the US, they don't have to prove. They just have to allege that the money was ill-gotten, and that's it. And of course, the indictment was actually not even against Tenet Media. It wasn't against Lauren Chen or her husband. It was against these two Russians who guess live in Russia, will never be arrested. It was just a way for them to destroy her and her husband's company. And apparently, and also they tried to, of course, because all of the influencers were pro-Trump. So they kind of, I think they were trying to, you know, stitch something together and say like, Trump is, you know, Russia's trying to help Trump out again. Because this was all pre-election.
It's hard not to notice that Lauren is one of the few, like of the funny enough, of the influencers we've mentioned here. I mean, maybe there's someone I'm forgetting, you know, that's related to this, but really Lauren was like probably the only one of value of this group, in my opinion. And she, you know, really kind of is pretty good on like the stuff that we would advocate for, you know, anti-war. If she had been she would have been a really big voice for truth, I think, during this period of time, had she not been bogged down with this. Imagine if Lauren Chen was out there, another large, platform, a large voice out there. I feel like she probably would have been very strongly against everything that's going on right now. And
but she was super anti-Israel, you know.
Were
and
these
she
guys
was willing
Russian
to talk
or
about
three
Jewish
parentheses
power.
Russian?
Right, she was allowed to. Right, yeah, because in the indictment they talk about basically that they had set up this shell company, and the kind of quote unquote allegation against Chen and her husband was if they didn't know, they should have known, kind of thing, when they were taking this large amount of money from them. You know, again, I don't. If she says that they're lying in there, then I believe her, because I know somebody said tell this lady that your audience doesn't need to know, that the government doesn't need to be told. I get it.
Hey, that's what this show is, guys. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry it's not as an advanced lie.
Yeah.
I know we're showing you simple lies right now. But they do simple
I always
lies
say that
and
people are like,
advanced
yeah,
lies.
sure, the government lies. And I'm like, no, like they legitimately like will just lie. Like it's nuts.
Well,
you
like
know?
to go back to Jesse Trenadu, like he's done this multiple times in the course of all the different litigation he's done, where he will literally seed out a thing with the expectation that they will lie, so that way he can then catch them in the lie and then go, look, with X document or whatever thing. He's done it many, many times where he's then, he's submitted a FOIA request and done a FOIA suit, and hey, they're not providing this. Oh, we don't have this. And they go, the fuck you don't. Wham, right on the table. And you're like, here it is right here. And you're like, oh. So like, and this is how like he's done this. Like he's I think he has a quote that's like the FBI. Oh, by the way, it's still probably not an exact quote. So just so we know, but it's like the FBI will lie even when it's not in their interest to lie. That's all they do is lie. So like you can count on them to lie. Like, so if anything, like this is why like a lot of times I'm always open to like, whoa, what's the other side of this story? Like when I hear about some big wig that gets busted for child porn by the FBI, I'm like, well, where's his political views? Was he getting close to some truth? What's going on here? And I don't know. I mean, I think that's kind of a healthy view of your government. But Mel, we're almost at 2 hours. I think we've covered a lot today. But pleasure having you here. I want to know people where they can find you at, and I'm sure I'll have you on again at some point.
Follow me at Village Crazy Lady. There's no A in the village because there's a character limit. Everyone's like, you can't even spell village. I'm like, I don't know.
There's some quip there. There's no A in the village, and I don't know how that ends. There's some pun or quip to be had there you could use to make it memorable, but I don't know what. Just workshop that, people.
My account would take off. I definitely wouldn't have named myself Village Crazy Lady just because I get tired of. But although it is memorable, it's very easy to remember. So I just get tired of the same old morons in my comments. Oh, you really are crazy, huh? I haven't heard that 6,000 times.
And you have a show with Janine, right?
I do. I have a show with Janine Nunes. She is a constitutional lawyer. She just got a new job with the American Arab Defamation Council. So don't quote me exactly on that name. Tuesday was literally her first day.
It's a bizarre world version of the ADL.
Well, yeah. So they've actually been taking on free speech cases. So like her case right now.
The stuff the ADL used to actually be known for doing when they did semi-decent stuff.
That's the UCLA. I don't think.
Oh, UCLA. Okay, yeah.
Not the UCLA, but the ACLU.
So she's advocating for Islamic pedophiles. Is that what's going on here?
No, thank God. No, she's actually
some pencil factory or something.
She took up the case about the lady who basically they said you can't damage or an attack on the Israeli flag could be viewed as a hate crime. That is actually her case right now. And that is a really wild case. This poor 72-year-old woman walks with a cane and everything, has been barred from going to any protests because this psycho-Zionist woman, literally wearing the Israeli flag as a cape, said that Janine's client had tried to choke her with her flag around her. And this woman is 72 years old. She has arthritis and she walks with a cane. And the defendant or the plaintiff in the case is like this young psycho woman that shows up as a counter protester to all the Code Pink protests.
Kind of wish I'd played. I considered doing covering the Alex Jones Schroyer thing, but it just seems like just drama. But there was one little good crash out what Schroyer had where he did like a full on, hey, I'm the victim. Did you see that crash out he had?
No.
Like what the one? Okay, because a lot of people have been sharing around this one stream to point as like, oh, see, here's what Alex does, the behavior he's talking about. But there's one I found the other day. Maybe I'll cover it tomorrow. Where it's like particularly egregious, and to the point to where like then Schroyer, once Alex leaves with the weird little like struggle session he did or whatever, then he goes full on like this Zog like fucking like making fun of the Jew like fucking rant and like what like probably like 5+ minutes of like literally in character like, oy vey, I'm going to come to the Trump administration with my my problems because now I'm Jewish. Which, I don't know, it was pretty funny, but it kind of gave a little bit more fuel to the fire that maybe Schroyer had some sort of point here. But
yeah. I watched the one where, Alex goes on and he makes the little joke, got a call from, Tel Aviv, and that he was obviously like making a joke. But then he goes into the thing and he starts doing the thing where he's like, it's not all Jews, and you got to be really careful. And you can just see Owen's his focus just goes on to a point on the wall because he's probably heard this freaking lecture 10,000 times, And I was like, man, that had to just get so taxing and so exhausting after a while.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, I'll let you go, Mel. I was considering maybe playing the video. I'll save that for tomorrow. I just jumping ahead of myself. You were talking about the Jew being a victim, and I was like, it just immediately made me think of Schroyer's funny little rant he had. But
I know now I gotta go find it. Yeah.
Damn it! Do you want to? Are you in some sort of hurry to get out of here? Because
no, find it.
Okay, because it's a little bit longer, so that's why I was like, I'm not gonna play it for her. Man, I totally saw it earlier. I thought I liked it. I thought I bookmarked it. Maybe I did, and I'll have to hunt it down later. My bad, guys. I seeded that out to you guys, and I don't actually have that. So, crap.
Yeah.
All right. Well, bummer. We'll come back to that, I guess, tomorrow. I'll try to hunt that down for you guys. So I don't know. It is what it is. But anyways, I appreciate you coming on. I'm still kind of scrolling through it. If I'm like kind of going slow, I'm scrolling through like, where the fuck is that? I know you're in there. But anyways, appreciate you guys. If you guys want to support what I'm doing over here, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. You can follow me on Twitter at TaragangJose. If you want to support me really in the best way you can do that with money over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. The lowest level is $2. That's where you get access to the early episodes. I usually do about 1 to 2 of those a week. Keep about 4 behind the paywall at any given time. You also get access to the ad-free RSS feed. You get access to Telegram and priority for the call-ins on me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead, which is on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Also, give a big shout out to my sponsors. Every episode is a big thank you for everything they do. My previous co-host on Tower Gang at Learn to Toad, also at Abrogate D's, at ZOVRACK, at _Infazeel, Tim Tuttle, at John Klebold, Will Bell's Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine, big fan of the show, Torn May, at Wayne Taculus, the Catcher in the Rye, Andrew Jacobs, the completely involuntary Jew, and that's all of you guys. Appreciate everyone who supports this show and chips in. You guys help this show do what it do. And thank you for coming on, Mel. We'll be sure to have you on again sometime. Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Deuces.